Put myself in the middle of the screen there. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Let me make sure the audio is working there. Hope so. Let's double check. There we go. I am working. Audio is working. Turn it down just a tad there. Good afternoon to you. Morning for us that were up until 4. But it was a good up until 4. Hello, everybody. Glad you're along. It's Expresso, an off-day edition here from Hawks and Sergeant Bluff. We're back in Iowa. We're back at home finally. We've been gone now. We were gone. It seemed like, it's funny, last night, Nate Gherkin and I think it was Ortega, a couple of guys were talking, and I was walking out with them to our cars, and it was like we hadn't been here in a while. I mean, literally, it seems like we've been gone a month. And maybe with Trenton, I can't remember, but it was that conversation. It felt like as we pulled in last night, we've been gone a long time. We had been. We left Tuesday a week ago, arriving Thursday morning, Wednesday night overnight. It was a long trip because it was a 3-city trip with a off day mixed in there, really one off day mixed in there, and the weekend holiday and all that. It just sort of a weird long stretch. So anyway, let me bring this down because we're not talking next. We're talking now. I want your questions and comments. I'm going to go through all the things from last night's win. First off the top, 8-6 winner for Sioux City last night. So 1-0 in the series, best of 3. They've got to win one more to take the series, okay? So that's the first thing. That's the first. That more than anything else is what we need to talk about first and foremost. As I'll bring this one down. Let's bring this one down, and let's bring this one up for the time being. And again, that's the first thing, the thing you need to know most, right? I mean, that is what happened last night. Everything else I talk about from here on, is really inconsequential, but we will give you play. Yeah, good game last night. It depends what all-star team you're talking about, Kevin. Now, this week in the association and the 10th inning blog spot did have awarded their all-star team. By the way, on that topic, Kevo, I spoke to a mate of mine this morning down in Cleburne, who I think everybody knows, and we were lamenting the comment there, the story that Jose Sermo also homered last night, a monster home run, and he was also a no-show on that postseason all-star team. And he led the league in home runs, didn't he? Did I get that right, or am I missing that, or top 5, top 3, whatever? I don't know. And after all, isn't it all a home run contest for these all-star teams? A beauty contest on home runs? Anyway, Kebo, you're right on. But yeah, somebody else had it right, though. Somebody else had it right. Pull that down. Somebody else had it right. I tried to make a tweet of all the things that happened last night, which I'm going to get to. And there were a lot. And I don't even know. Let's do the headline story first, okay? Let's go back to what happened last night because I know you want to know about it. I'm going to break down how that play worked out and what was right about it and what might have been wrong about it, okay? Now, the play in question I'm talking about is the Daniel Langwood apparently scored 2 runs and gave the X's a 5-3 lead. Now, luckily, in hindsight, none of that affected the ball game's outcome. If you'd have lost the game because of that, without any video evidence, it'd have been a really stain on the league. Luckily, and I mentioned this last night, I get a lot of my reputation is, I don't like the umpires, which is false. 2, I believe last night that the call at first base either A, had to be so egregious you couldn't miss it. I'm going with that case right there because I don't believe, that's a call that I haven't seen that call ever made. I've never seen a guy miss first base. I've seen guys turn into the field of play and then turn and try to get back. That's happened a bunch of times. I've never seen a guy miss first and on appeal get retired and also cost 2 runs. I think I've seen it actually a guy missed the bag before, but it didn't affect any runs scored. So I'm going to walk through that rule here in a moment and what exactly happened there. But we'll let some of you guys get in here and not miss this. But again, I thought the call had to be a missed bag. Now, that's the call. Now, I'm going to give you the side of the Explorers and the side of Daniel Langlois. I didn't speak to him personally, but I have this on very good authority from the top step, so that's where this is coming from. In that inning, the 2-run score, Langlois at second, they appeal, and they say you're out at first. Inning over. Okay, that was the third out of the inning. Now, we all go to break, and the scoreboard at 5-3. In their scoreboard, we come back from break. They've changed it back to 3-3. There's confusion on the field. I've gotten word from downstairs that the runs were going to count, even though the scoreboard was wrong. We played the half inning, the next half inning. I'm still confused because I think it's 3-3, but it might be 5-3, but it might not be 5-3. We don't know. Jack Michaels got from his seat. He walked down the scores table. He was trying to work out whatever was going on. It was a mess, and I don't think anybody knew. And then the umpires at the bottom of that inning, by the fifth inning, when Fargo didn't score, I think they got too bored, but then got retired. Jury was outstanding, by the way. They go off the field. They take the conference to the let me just get the score sheet here. That probably help a lot better if I would do that. It's right here, on top of my sheet here. So Neil Turner is on the plate, and it was Nicholas Webb, who I think he must have really believed, and we're not talking inches here. We're talking enough to, it had to be enough to, we're talking your blind eye can see that he missed the bag by a mile, right? Not by inches. Now, that's going to get something in a moment. So I'm going to go with Nicholas Webb here that he saw what he saw. I have to. Now, he and Jet Minton exit the field. They go down. First, Jet left first, then Webb went with him. They went down. If you've been to Fargo, there's a gate right by home plate. They go down where the clubhouses are, and I assume either grabbed a rule book or called somebody or whatever. Don't know what. Don't know what that was about a 4.5-minute, 5-minute delay. We're all still sitting there like, And then I was told that the runs were not going to count, and I was told they were going to count. And even got the word from the bench that the runs were going to count. That's what we were sort of told. Now, this whole time this is going on, I just talked to Mongo about an hour ago, and he was of the opinion, he believed that they eventually, no matter what they said, yes, runs are going to score. He knew the rule, and I'm going to get to the rule now. Now, if Langlois missed second base, runs would have counted. If Langlois would have gotten around first base and got caught in a rundown and the run scored, they would have counted. If he'd hit a triple and the run scored and he missed the bag at third or missed the bag at second, whatever, runs would score. Because he didn't get to first base by rule, by missing the bag, the runs don't count. That's where that came in. So that rule is correct. They were totally correct on that. I've never seen it happen. That's so obscure that, you can play 1,000 games and that doesn't happen, okay? The 2 runs scored. Again, let's say situation is stolen base, throw to second, runner stops in the base path, and the runner from third breaks home. They throw home, and they don't get the runner, and, they throw back. Well, let's put it this way. You throw to second, the runner stops, gets in a rundown where the guy comes home to score. They finally get him out. That run scores. Remember, you always see the umpires will do this, the plate, to let you know that run scored. So oftentimes you'll see, that's why guys getting rundowns to buy time for runners to get to the next base or for runners to score. And that's exactly what happened that's not what happened, but what happened last night was a very rare one. It's very rare that a guy misses first base. It's very, on a home run trot, very rare. And a lot of times, if a guy does miss a base, you'll see him go back. And a lot of times when a guy thinks he misses a base, we'll put the brakes on and go back and touch up. According to what I understand, Langlois missed the base with his toe, but knew his foot was going to kick the backside of it. So apparently his backside or his heel, whatever, which would have been blind to Nicholas Webb, apparently, he did kick it. He didn't step on. Now there's discussion down there that some of the folks who are sitting down that way optically looked like he missed the base. you touch the base with your foot, your knee, your elbow, I mean, whatever, right? I mean, if you slide into second base and you slide around a tag and it's your leg that gets in there, well, you're safe. Doesn't have to be fingertips. It's got to just be, whatever, your body part. I mean, that's why some guys slide in head first or whatever at first on a close play. So, it basically, that play by rule was correct. That play by rule was correct. Now, the interpretation's correct. Now, whether he missed the bag or not is another thing for discussion. There's no replay of it. There's no replay at all of it that we've seen. Again, eyewitness accounts, and the guy who actually, in hindsight, if a game was won, he might say, yeah, I missed the bag. But he missed the bag with his foot, his front of his foot, the toe area where you would normally touch. But on his turn, he was sure he kicked it with the side of his foot. That was basically what happened. Now, Nicholas Webb saw something else. So that's the play from last night. And so, yes, the umpire, and I think Nicholas Webb visually saw that he missed the bag with his foot, the front of his foot. He did not see from his angle that he made the bag with his heel or the side of his foot. And we've seen these plays, close plays like that over the years. The big leagues, even this year, I saw one the other night, very much like that, where a guy was diving, was safe or not safe, and it was hard to tell, but they were able to slow it down frame by frame, and he was safe. So, yeah, it was crazy. Katrina, very crazy. So that's the first play. Luckily, and as I said last night, because I couldn't believe in that situation. Of all the games that we've seen over the years in this league and affiliated ball that I've worked, I've never seen that play. I've never seen that. And every time I think I've never seen something, I see something. But that one, to pull 2 runs off the board when you got the hit, yes, the rule is you got to touch first base. But, man, you better be dadgum sure that that young man missed the bag. And there's a debate there. Now, again, I'm going to side with – I'm in the middle here. Because at the time, I even said a couple of innings later, Nicholas Webb had to really believe that what he saw was so egregious that it was a miss. He had to see him miss it by that. But now maybe his front of his foot might have missed it by that much, but his heel didn't miss it by anything. That's the thing I'm saying. And so he had to be really sure. And I don't know, and Al will never know. I mean, that's something you never know if we know for sure. But I'm going to err on the side that Nicholas Webb claims he missed the bag. That's what his claim was. He totally missed the bag. Now, the X's side of things is that, hey, if you missed the bag, go back and touch up. But Langwood claims he hit the bag with his heel. And he made sure he felt it click. And he knows in his head, click, I hit it. If you hit it, there's a certain feeling, you hit the bag. You did. So there's that play. All right, so that's out of the way. And we're here at Sergeant Bluff. We're at Hawks here in Iowa. Back home again, finally. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Let's bring this up and bring this down. There we go. Change the overlay there. Okay. Let's just go back last night, basically by the things that happened in the ball game that made it such. These two teams have never played the postseason, but they made up for the drama in one ball game. That play right there is enough to fill any playoff series, right? Luckily, yes, Fargo got new life, kept the ball game 3-3, but the X's just got pounded on them more. And it didn't make any difference, which I think that's a great storyline. Let's go back a couple innings before. X's go quietly 1-2-3. McGovern looks like McGovern of old. He looks like the guy that's been one of the top pitchers in this league for a long time. Austin Drury gets the first 2 out. And you're thinking, okay, just need one more. Remember, one of our keys of the game was the first inning. Drury gets a couple on, and now you're like, oh, man. They're at the corners, 2 down. He gets a huge strikeout of Scott Schreiber, who, by the way, struck out to end the ball game. The guy that knocked you around early in that series back in July struck out to end the ball game. So there's out number 3 there. It's a huge highlight in the ball game. It's something we don't It'll be lost in the box score, but it was big. So you go on, next inning, bingo, first pitch Matt Lloyd sees, he hits out of the ballpark. So it's 1-0, right? And then, excuse me, oh, my neck hurts. Double for Wilfredo with 1 out. It's Rando with a single, and you're at first and second, and you've got Harris and Delvin's in who go with a strikeout and a fly to left. You don't score. You're like, you felt like you had more there, right? Hold those two names in your head because they're going to kind of play big parts what I'm going to tell you about next as we walk through it. Okay, so obviously the big thing is last night the play at first. But okay, Lloyd's home run was big. The fail to capitalize behind it seemed large at the time because the next inning they get a single, and then with 2 outs, there's a fly ball to center. It's not a routine can of corn, by the way. Chase Harris is coming in, Delvin Zinn's going out from short, and it's kind of like 2, fighter jets, veering off, doing maneuvers. Delvin peels off to give Chase the room to come in because he's got it. He's calling, he's got it. Chase is on the fly, reaches up in the glove, and he's playing it more down. It was more down here. It was a little more lower. It wasn't like here. It was right here. Chase squeezes, ball pops out, bloop, and it drops. That's an error, right? So you got an error there. Who's up next? Well, it's John Silviano. And Silviano, who's battling that knee issue, hits a home run to right, 3-run home run. You're down 3-1. So you went from being up 1-0, missed opportunity to add more, and it's 3-1. You're like, so the emotion went free fall. And I even told Chase last night I was so happy for him because he comes through a bit later on 2 separate occasions, which I think answered the bell. And if he doesn't come through and he and Delvin don't come through, who knows what happens in this ball game last night. So that's something also in the box score you won't see. So anyway, you're down 3-1. The X's come right back. Don't waste any time. Lloyd a single. Wilfredo a walk. Casser had trouble with the bunt also in the second inning. Tried to get a bunt down, was almost popped out. Couldn't get it down, and winds up flying to shallow right. Couldn't move the runners. So now in the 4th inning, Casser couldn't get the bunt down, but he bunts it just a little too hard back to the over toward third, and Pena is going to get Wilfredo every day on that play. So he gets Wilfredo at second. Lloyd's at third, though, and there's 1 out. Well, Rando strikes out looking, but Chase Harris, RBI single up the middle, who sat back on a breaking ball, and nailed it to center. So Chase delivers right there. Big play of the ball game, right? I must be a bird watcher. Look at this dodo. Yeah, exactly. Look at this dodo. You're funny. So again, Harris delivers, Delvin delivers the double, ties the ball game. Then we go to that play with Lingua. We just talked about that. So again, we've had drop fly ball. We've had a drop fly ball turns into a 3-run home run, followed by the guy who drops said ball gets an RBI and comes back. We've had the play at first base. We're tied at 3 now. So what the X's do after that whole conference and all that nonsense, still 3-3. The X's come right back in the score 5 spot. But the game, basically win the ball game right there. Oda a single, Nagowski a single, Lloyd single, boom, lead. Walk, single, Casser, add the lead. Strikeout, Rando, then back-to-back walks by Harris and Zinn to add the lead. And you wind up looking up, you've got also a ground ball, fielder's choice by Langua, brings another run home. 5 runs in the inning. Now you're up 8-3. That was church right there, right? Except it gets a little crazier late in the ballgame. They did get a run back in the 5th, a RBI, and Drury goes 5 innings. Austin last night gives up the 9 hits, but gives up only 1 earned run. And what's the reason why? He only walked 0. He walks no one, strikes out 4, That's the recipe right there. You can give up a bunch of hits. Across the way, 3 walks for Kevin McGovern. 3, but they were huge walks because that loads the bases in one situation. McGovern leaves the 5th. Matter of fact, McGovern leaves after the Jimenez walk, who scores. Huge run the ball game. And you have back-to-back walks by Holmes for RBIs, and the X's add the lead. Anyway, so can't wait for tomorrow night. Close it out. No doubt about it, Casey. No doubt about it. I'll give you your due there, Sneedo. I feel like a dodo right now. By the way, it's really odd weather here. Temperatures in the 70s. Don't tell my wife, but it's that hazy, smoky weather. We had that last night coming down between Sioux Falls and Fargo, and really up north of Fargo. They said it was going to be like this too. There was a misty, foggy, smoky. It looked like fog, but it was smoky fog. And remember when I had this not like a month ago, but a month ago, we had a major thing like this too. And I went to the airport in Omaha one morning. I left at like 4 in the morning for a 5:15. Or no, I left earlier than that. It was a 5:15 flight. So I guess I left at 3. And I remember going down the freeway and coming out of Sergeant Bluff and down and get on 29. And there was some spots even on 29. You're like, you couldn't see squat. I mean, it was about that last night. Coming home, it took us a little longer to get home last night. See you tomorrow night. Can't wait to work and play up. Yes, they're different, man. They're different. It's different. It's different. Playoffs are different. They are different. Yes, Mongo tuning in. I just talked to him earlier. Mongo, thanks for your help too. Yesterday he jumped on. Need your support. Bring your friends. Yes, anyone you know. That's coming from the man there. And again, what I love about him, and besides just being a cool mate, he's not one of those guys that if this like that call last night, for example, he knew that call was the right call. Now, whether or not Langba missed the bag or not, another story. But he knew it was the right call. And he's, I know there are people out there that no matter what are going to doubt the ship and say it was the wrong call. I don't care what people say. He knew it was the right call. And I have a lot of respect for that because most of those dodos didn't know. So, yes, from the man right there, need you guys tomorrow night. Get your tail to the ballpark. I will tell you this.
Thanks, Riley.
Good, we're riding Hawks here. When I was here in 2018, 2019, and I've worked 3 playoff series here for the other team. The 18 series, the energy in the ballpark was big. The 19 series, you can feel it as well. Now, 21, I don't remember much about that one. That was such a ridiculous year for Kansas City. They were just ridiculous. But I can tell you, I can go back and pull on my computer. I've got the tapes of the highlights, and it was loud and proud here in Sioux City. And I know the Saturday night game here, that was a Friday. Back then, the series were best 3 out of 5, I believe. And the Friday night series, the Saturday night game, I can't remember the days here. It was a Saturday, Sunday. They split the 2 in Kansas City. Kansas City won on Friday night. And Saturday night, Sioux City won. And it was freaking loud on both nights. And that Saturday night crowd was going bonkers. A Sunday was a finale. Everybody was on their pins and needles a little bit. And I remember it being energy, too. There's a lot of energy all weekend. But I can tell you, this crowd can make a difference here. They were good last night. But that's not the best I've seen Fargo's postseason crowd. They had a really good crowd last year against KC. But it was a little – I think part of the reason was they didn't know their destination until, last weekend, Friday. They knew they were in. They didn't know who they're playing. That's hard to sell. We've had a real good lead up to this. We knew we were going to be home for over a week now, and we've been pumping it out as best we can on social and all that. But Mongo, appreciate you, man. Much love to you. He is a flat-out – I don't think people realize, and I hope they do. I hope people realize how special this ball club is, this area, and how special that guy is, this ball club. I mean, I know there are managers out there who love their team, their town, but this guy, I'm telling you, I work for three, and I know another dozen, and this guy special. Okay, we're at Hawks and Sergeant Bluff. Again, what happened last night? And my lead in the story was all the basically was what I was saying was there was more. Oops, let's use this one. Enough drama for one game that we haven't played these two in postseason ever. There's plenty to go around. We're not done just yet. Okay, so the X's have a lead, and Drury is at the run the fifth inning. He's done, and this is what we've talked about. Let's go through the checklist of what we talk about. Starting pitching, check. Tom the offense, check. Bullpen lockdown, we're about to check that right here. Caracci goes inning and 2/3, awesome. 2 hits, 3 strikeouts. And this is what they can do. Mongo can do this, mix and match. And we saw the mix and match last night that if you're ahead, it's dang near impossible to catch this ball club unless you self-inflict wounds. That comes in a moment. Okay? Diaz an inning, and I tell you, I know Carlos Diaz. I've known him for years. He's a playoff, different guy in the playoffs. I've watched him again. Gosh, this is the fourth time I watched him on a roster that I've worked with as a playoff guy. This guy is a playoff machine. He does his thing. Max Coons, 2/3, incomplete. Okay, he comes in, does get the 2 outs. But a real bizarre situation. I mentioned that, things kind of settled down. You kind of felt from the 6th inning on, all that drama in the middle of the ball game, things were going to settle down. And it did until the 9th inning. Now you got an 8-3 lead in the 9th. I'm sorry, 8-4 lead in the 9th inning, right? Is that correct? Yeah, 8-4. Right, you should shut the door. It's not a save situation. And Coons had come in and done what he came in the 8th inning, got the last 2 outs, and got the first out of the 9th inning. And then a single for Dylan Thomas and a walk to Leo Pena. In and of themselves, the tying run is still on deck, right? I mean, the winning run is down the runway. You've got to get 2 more outs, the 26th and 27th. And then the most bizarre thing happens. Not 1, but 2 pass balls. And just to clarify, what a pass ball is, that's against they happen so few, there's so few of them. The catcher's charged the pass ball. It means it's not a wild pitch. That means the catcher dropped the ball and it got through him, whatever the case may be. Whether it be he misplayed it, dropped it, misread it. Oftentimes the guy gets crossed up, meaning he thinks a curveball's coming, it's a fastball, and he's looking at he thinks it's going to be here and it's over here, and he's like, you see a guy get crossed up a lot. And a lot of times, and those are usually charged pass balls. And just pull my stats up here. The X's this year had 12 pass balls all year. Ortega had 8. Jimenez had 4. In 100 ball games, they had 12 pass balls. So 100 games, what is that times, not all 9 innings, so whatever that is, that's 861 and a third innings this year. Regular season, you had 12 pass balls. Your catcher who caught 53 games, or 53% of the ball games, had 4 pass balls all year. He gets charged 2 in the 9th inning. How bizarre is that? I mean, again, you can't make this up because that's not the way the script was written, right? Yeah, nice interview last night, too. Really good stuff from Channel 9. I loved it. They did a great job. Noah, great work. And I appreciate Noah for I appreciate all the coverage. Both stations have been great. I mean, they've been great here. I can't thank them enough. We have a real unique situation here, Ron. You know this. We've got TV stations that cover our teams. We're the type of market. You get a piece or a newspaper piece done in Kansas City, for example. That's a big deal because it never happens. They're covering the Chiefs, the Royals, and the soccer, and KU, and all that, and Missouri, and all that. But here it's a big deal. I mean, you got Hawkeyes and Cyclones this weekend, and they're still doing things on us, and I appreciate it, man. I'm so thankful for all the news and sports people in town, even the folks in the Journal who've done some really good work. There's some great features this summer. There's a really good feature on Ken Hasler earlier. on the lifestyles feature. Really appreciate that coverage. But I email those people every day, the game notes, and I appreciate them checking in and doing what they do. And I'm thankful, so thankful. And by the way, thanks to the Red Hawks. There's some photos in that piece that were from the Red Hawks too, by the way. So thanks to them. But yeah, great interview last night. You're right on, Ron. Okay, so 2 pass balls, and then finally Sean Rakowski comes in. He gets the final 2 outs, and the game is over. So let's recap what happened last night in one game that you probably won't see in a whole playoff series. If these two teams played 100 times, well, it's not quite to me. These two teams played 20 times. What would you not see? You're probably not going to see many drop fly balls in center field by Chase Harris. You're not going to see 2 pass balls in the same inning on Wilfredo Jimenez. You're not going to see a guy miss a bag and have 2 runs come off the board. You're not going to see said fly ball lead to a home run, right? You're not going to have, did he or did he not touch the bag? That kind of drama. And again, you're not going to have those kind of situations. You're not going to have a team go up 1-0, trail 3-1, tie it, take a lead back because the lead comes off the board, then come right back and score 5 runs and make a statement. It was a crazy night last night. And bizarre, if all the playoff games I've done, is one of the most bizarre, one of the most memorable, because it had so many twists and turns the first 4 or 5 innings. At the 5th inning, you checked all the boxes you need to check. Well, you did. You checked all 2 of the 3. You had your relief pitching, and the recipe was there. It's like Mongo said the pregame yesterday on the dugout report. He said, same recipe, maybe different utensils, but we do, maybe a different ingredient here and there, but that's what you saw last night. Yes, you scored 8 runs. You probably, that's more than your season average, but you've been averaging, your average as a team right around 300 since John Nagowski's been back. You've been scoring slightly more runs. You held them to earned runs. You held them to 1. Wait, right? Is that right? Yeah, 1. Yeah, 1. Anything else is that's correct, right? Yeah, 1. Check my box from last night. I think that's right. Yeah, the pass balls were not. Those were. Oh, in the pass ball play, I'm sorry. The two pass balls didn't score 2 runs. 1 pass ball scored 2 runs. That's another twist. The lighting there in Fargo's weird because, and I would chalk some of the situation up there, the lighting. I know the lighting's not great. I don't know what the problem with the lighting is. It's weird lighting. It's a little bit like going to Lake Country. It's a real weird lighting. The area's bright, but it's not bright. And I don't know if it was the smoke or whatever was in the air, but Jimenez twice last night thought a ball was going. Now, granted, this happens to a catcher, but he's got a pretty good feel where the ball bounces, especially if it bounces and it grazes him one direction of his body. He thinks the ball is to his right. It ain't there. Not there. Well, it's over here. He didn't know that. And Sean's racing home pointing to where it is. By the time he points and realizes the 2 outs, the Red Hawks got nothing to lose but just keep running. So they wanted him scoring the 4 runs. Let's see. 6 runs last night. Only 1 was earned. That was the run that came in the 5th inning. Crazy ball game. All right. What else you guys got today? I want to go through that. Just say, look, because that was 1 ball game, and who knows tonight? Or tomorrow night. Tomorrow night it may be very, very calm, and postseason baseball tends to be more 4-1, 4-2, those kind of games. You know what? Doesn't make a damn bit of difference. You get a win, right? Right? It doesn't make a difference. Last night around the league, too, a couple things of note. Kansas City looked very much like Kansas City. They scored 3 runs in the first inning, and no doubt they were going to win last night. They put the Canaries away. Fargo tomorrow, good question. They're all good questions, though. It'll be Tyler Grauer, the left-hander, that's what we've been told. I suppose they can switch it up, but I imagine that's what they're going to do. That's what they have listed, is lefty Tyler Grauer. Numbers have been pretty decent against Sioux City. He got a loss here, but he only gave up 2 earned runs in 7 innings. He had some a little bit like McGovern, some ups and downs. He's a lefty. He had some ups and downs this year. missed a short stint as well. He's had some really lights out performances, and he's had, like anybody does. Last year he was very good in the postseason, but that's last year. Let's see if I can pull this up for you here. Sorry about that. Fargo, there we go. I don't have his page pulled up, so I have to pull up the website here. So give me just a moment. Nope, I want Fargo. Growler, left-hander. Where is he? There we go. 6'5", 220 from Kansas City. I do remember that. I remember him pitching last year against Kansas City down there and had a lot of family there. Against Winnipeg last time out. No, I think this was probably – he went 3 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 hits. Only went three innings, though, against Winnie. That had been last Saturday. And I think that was more of a tune-up start for him. Against Sioux City here on the 27th, he was the other end of the John Sheik's 8-inning performance, shutout baseball. Remember the X's gave it those 2 runs late. It was a 3-0 ball game. The X's gave him 2 runs late, got 2 insurance. Actually, it was 1-0 throughout the 7th, I believe, or 8th. Got 2 insurance runs in the 8th inning. You don't get those, we'd still be playing here, so it's all good. 10 hits in that ball game, no walks. This guy didn't walk many. He walked 1 against Winnipeg. And these are the walks, his last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, you go back his last 10 starts, he's not walked more than 2 in a ball game. He's got 2 games he didn't walk anybody. So this year he's only walked 25 in 115 innings. Pretty good. So you're going to be more than opportunistic. I'd be shocked if you went out there I'd be shocked if you had a bunch of 5-run innings, but hey, strange things will happen. It's playoffs. Last year in the postseason, he was 2-0 in 3 starts, 16 2/3. He did walk 7. And remember, too, the opponents you're facing matter, too. The X's are top 3 in the league in drawing walks. They were this year for a reason. And they seem to be able to do that. And the approach that this club has behind Josh Hines is worked. So just for the matchup. Across the way, Mitchell Verberg, who, when I look at his numbers, you ask yourself, all right, what might have been? Because we might be talking about, if Verberg stays healthy this year, you might be talking about, well, who's the pitcher of the year? Mitchell Verberg or Salmon Bates? Because that first weekend, or that first 2 weeks, there were no better 1-2 punch in the league. And when they were both healthy, which was only, a month and about 7 weeks maybe, best 1-2 punch in the league. Mitchell, though, was 6-4, 3.87. What's he done? Well, his walks, his last 3 starts have been 1, 2, and 1. And, the walks are what got him in trouble in the past, but gets anybody in trouble. But he's cut those down to a degree. Excuse me here. His walks 25 in 72 innings. Now, granted, he's pitched 25 less innings, or more than that, 30 some odd less innings than Grauer. But he was great in Chicago last week against a really good offense. And by the way, that game in Chicago is not an end of the year, wrap it up, let's get going game. That game meant something to Chicago. They needed to win at least a split, if not a sweep, to make it an important weekend for them to catch Milwaukee. And they got swept. That sweep cost them any chance of catching Milwaukee. So they had something to play for. Don't kid yourself. Prior to that, against Fargo, he went 6 innings, 6 earned, 8 hits. Now, remember that ball game. That was Saturday night here. 2 weeks ago, this Saturday, right? Yeah, the last homestand. He had a rough first inning. Gave up 4 runs. That was it. He locked him down. He was out. The second through sixth inning, he was outstanding. I mean, he was outstanding. But that first inning gave him trouble. Again, we watching that first inning. Get to the first inning. I think that's a huge deal for this ball club. Mongo talked about it yesterday. Tom Glavine had the same issues. So anyway, all right. What do you guys got question-wise? I just thought last night the whole drama of the game was delicious. It was delicious. It was what playoff baseball should be like, without some controversy, without some high blood pressure. I will say this: I did not have to go to the Sweet Level Bar last night and grab me a shot. I felt pretty good once the X's got the lead. And this is what we talked about. This is why Monday was such a shocker to me. Because Monday, when you have a lead, even in the fifth inning, you figure you're gonna be fine because you've got enough arms down there. Piece at least 3 innings together, 6, 7, 8 with one. If you just give a Coons, a Diaz, and a Brochure or Caracci, you can piece it together that last 4 innings. That's what made Monday such a blow. What happened there? You get 10 earned runs. That doesn't happen. This team, when they're on, that doesn't happen. When they're doing what they do, it doesn't happen. And that's why last night, when you're at an 8-3 lead, I felt really good. I think you can tell on the broadcast, yes, a little white knuckle time, but I started to chat a little bit more about, as I've been wanting to talk about 1908 a lot. The 1908 Packers, the Sioux City Packers, who won the Western League. It's some great stuff. The archives of the Journal are great with that. There's some great stories. And there was a poem I read, and I read it on the air yesterday. Probably read it again today. But I can pull it up right now and tell you right now about it's the sound of a pennant floating at the peak of a tall mast, whipped by river breezes. And I had that feeling when I'm sitting there at Sioux City's at Lewis and Clark, seeing a pennant out there, the rivers down the street. We're right. It hadn't changed. The ballpark just down the river. It's the same area, same city, same feeling, right? It says, to the loyal bug, it's the most joyful sound to be heard on this good old globe, replete with necessary and unnecessary noises. The sound of a pennant floating at the peak of a tall mast, whipped by river breezes. The rhythmic music of flapping bunting is no longer a dream, product, or a figment of the imagination. It's not actually audible today, but the work has been done that brings a pennant to Sioux City to wave through the whole of next season and beyond, maybe longer. That was 1908. Could be 1918, could be 1920, or heck, it could be 2023. Nothing's changed. Listen to the noise. That's the title of this little poem that was written in the Journal back in 1908. But the tall mast of a pennant, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to get that Miles Wolff Cup and what comes with it. And that feeling, that euphoria, that joy, the joy in Mudville, so to speak. It's very romanticized, this game of baseball. But it's always been that way. No other sport does that. I mean, I think to a degree hockey does, because the Lord Stanley Cup is such a revered thing in Canada, and it's a very important piece to that whole country. And it's spread a lot in some of the Northeast, but I think really, Nate says, long one here. I'm with you last night. It was a crazy game. I didn't notice when Chris Coates called a mounting back at the top of the fourth inning. The umpires also called a meeting. Didn't notice what the conversation was about as our wireless camera. We didn't have the whole situation replay as a replay machine. It was. By the way, I even said the broadcast, Nate, the lack of replay last night was not Fargo's fault. Again, everybody else. This came to me. 2 people told me this. There was a writer from the local paper there in Fargo was sitting behind me. Doug, I believe is his name. Nice fella. Katie Brewer was in and out of the booth because she was taking photos. Great photo work by Katie, by the way. When you're watching that game, I watched that ball, and I remember at first I told myself I called it wrong because he hooked it. He actually was batting right-handed. Remember, Ling was a switch hitter. So Ling slices it on a line down the line. It's got a real nice little spin. It's going to sit down and then kick off the table, which is what it did. 2 runs going to score easily. And I think Lango had a chance for 3. He puts the brakes on at second, and maybe because of the way his heel hit the bag or whatever. But we're all watching the ball, the runners. I'm watching three things. We're all doing that. The umpires are watching their little area. And so the camera folks are following the ball. We don't have 10 cameras there or 8. I think a normal Major League ball game has probably got like 8 cameras. And there's not a fixed camera on the bag. And, no one in the league is going to have that replay unless they might, if they place the right camera there. But I guess if you've got a first base well, or we have a tower here at first, if we have a camera there, you might have a replay there. But I don't fault Fargo for that whatsoever. Their production was phenomenal. And Nate's a good dude, man. He's a good mate of mine. He's a good dude. And I wish I could have caught up more with you, Nate. I did send a picture out of you on your camera work last night to the folks, the Discord group down in KC, because we're all in the same little group. But Nate's a good kid, good dude, and does great work. But I'm sorry, just such drama and all that last night. It was crazy, man. But yeah, but by no means was. And Chris came out. I don't think I think the Red Hawks thought initially, like I did, that was 5-3. But the scoreboard never changed. The scoreboard changed and changed again. And that's when Jack got up in the break after the Fargos went out in the next inning. And this thing carried over. My game story I wrote, confusion carried over because we weren't sure up there. Matter of fact, the writer, Doug and I were like going, I think those runs count. But what I missed was, this is where Montgomery knew that because you miss first base, that's like you never got there. You get to first base safe. If you miss second, gets caught a rundown. Put it this way, if Langman goes to first and gets gunned down at second, those 2 runs score anyway, right? As long as those 2 runs score before the play was made, and the umpires will, once in a while, you'll have a situation, and this happened, I think this happened to us, I want to say in Fargo, the first trip in back in June or early July, where we had a runner scored and maybe another that only one scored. We thought 2 should have scored. I almost remember a play. I think it was a Delbin's in single/double. I think a play like that back in July. It may not have been. It may have been Miguel. I don't remember, but there was a play. I don't have my scorebook with me, but there was a play like that where we thought both runs scored. One did score, but they ruled the other one didn't because he was out before the runner crossed. That was not the situation. But again, it was weird, man. It was a weird night. It's just a weird night. And a lot of things happened last night. To fill up one ball game, there was that much drama. And again, it's the way it all happened. I mean, again, you have a drop fly ball. Next batter hits a 3-run home run. I mean, you're like, oh my gosh, we're back to June again, right? Snake bit. But you come right back, and you make it, and then you come right back twice. You came right back, took a lead, and lost it because of the missed bag. You come right back the next inning, take the lead, and never lose it. I mean, talk about uphill battle last night, all down the road. And, there would have been many moments last night where teams would have, what are we supposed to do? Can't keep a lead because we can't get the lead. And, but they didn't hang their heads, and they were very determined. And again, I go back to the Chase Harris drop fly. I was so happy for him to come up the next inning. And I mentioned this yesterday on the air right here, that sometimes those things happen. Guys step up. And it worked. That's what I said. Yes. Casey knows. Is that? Yeah, Casey knows. Casey, you and Nate would be good mates, man. You'd be good mates. But you're right. But Fargo does a great job, and Matt does a great job here in our crew here. I'll tell you for this, Matt has brought this production, and I'll tell you this a little for next year. We got some fun things planned for next year in the broadcast that we want to add, that I've been wanting to add, and some things. I've done some booth cam stuff on my own channels this year. We want to put that on our channels next year, and when Connor's there, some 2-man shots, things like that. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. We're here at Hawks Last Call. I do got to get going. I got to do something today. I got to go home and finish drying clothes and then get ready for tomorrow and go to the ballpark and just kind of check in. And say hello, I'm alive. I'm sure they want to know that, right? But we'll be back tomorrow at noon. Again, we'll be early tomorrow. We were at 12:30. I think I went on 12:50 today, but we didn't get into like 3:45, and I'm thinking, we were gone that long. And here's the deal: I'd sent a bunch of stuff I didn't need home to Dallas with my wife from Chicago, so I had some limited supplies, and I was literally, and I mentioned this on the air last night, I was down to my last pair of socks and trunks. I mean, it got me. If we had got it rained out yesterday, I'd have been in some serious trouble. I'd have been either at the Wally World or the Target or at the laundromat. So you should follow me around when you get home, because the first thing you do is that, and I'm sure my neighbors are like, is that guy washing clothes at 4 a.m. again? That's what I do. The first thing I do when I come off the road, suitcase comes open and the dirties go in, man. It's the first thing you do. So anyway, last call. Tomorrow night, just don't forget this. I'll remind you tomorrow, we're going to be on Q102.3 on the radio side, but doesn't change anything as far as how we do the show. It just changes things on where you got to go. And also AA baseball for you folks on the video side. Oh, the rest of the league last night. Sorry. Where was I? I talked to Brad Allred with Cleveland today. The Cleveland's last night, Jose Sermo, which I thought was very interesting. Sermo hits a monster home run last night on the same day anniversary that in 2018 he was named the MVP of the league. He was also snubbed like Matt Lloyd was from the All-Star team this year. Lloyd and Sermo both didn't make it. Both had big nights last night for their teams, huge nights. I mean, Lloyd last night, 3 at night again. He had 3 hits last night and drove in 2 runs, scoring 3. I didn't see Sermo's final line, but he had a monster home run. And by the way, Sermo apparently made a bad defensive play that cost the Cleveland's a couple runs, but he made up for it. So that's a star doing star things. But I thought it was interesting that Cleveland winning last night 7-4. So they go to Chicago, and here's the thing too. That Joe Caballero pitched very well against Sioux City the last 2 times he faced the X's last weekend. He was so-so on Friday, really, really good on Saturday, and really good on Monday. They got to him. And that bullpen, which has been their real strength in Chicago, is their bullpen. And they got to him last night. Cleveland did. Up the road at Sioux Falls, that game was over. Again, Kansas City scored 3 early. For what I look at the box score and reading when I read about it, it seemed like Kansas City doing Kansas City things, which is scary. But I still think that series can go 3. I don't think Sioux Falls will get 2 down in Kansas City. But, the good news for Kansas City is, unlike last year, they were forced into a situation at home on elimination night. They lost a game when the Chiefs were playing, and they went to Seoul there. So they're not going to face that tonight. The Chiefs play tonight, and they play tomorrow, so they'll have a little better chance of draw a crowd. But I think Sioux Falls is the biggest surprise. I think a lot of folks, including me, thought Sioux Falls last night would be at home, have no trouble, and they did. And the road team winning last night, Kansas City. Road team winning last night in Sioux City, and the road team winning in King County. King County walloped Milwaukee, 11-1. And it's a real weird deal there. Milwaukee playing the game at home. They got to play the rest of the series over in King County. They've got the Savannah Bananas coming in, which I know are a great thing. Everybody loves the Bananas. They're great on social media. Jesse, their owner, is a great ambassador. His dream of making baseball like that all across the country, not going to happen, but it's a great bit. They make money. They make so much money. They had to pull out their league they were in. They're playing in a wooden bat league down in coastal Carolina, Georgia area, Coastal Plain League. So it's Plains of Georgia and the coast of Carolina. Carolina. When you tell them from the South, can't you? It comes through now and then, folks. I know. Especially if I had adult beverage or 2. Ask my wife what I sound like after a couple adult beverages. Anyway, But the Bananas are playing there in Milwaukee. It's a great deal. They'll probably draw 3,000-4,000, much more than they would draw for a playoff game, obviously. But they went with the money side. Now, granted, to explain how these work, the Bananas, don't kid yourself, aren't doing this for free, okay? Basically what it is, they get the ticket money, and they handle the tickets, they handle the merchandise, you get the concessions and sell whatever you want to sell, your suites, right? So your suites, like a place like Kansas City, they've got suite money and Suite Legends Club and all that. If they came to town here, we'd have to rewrite the deal because we only got the 4 suites. Concessions would do well, but, are you going to offset the cost of not having the tickets? And that's why big markets like Milwaukee, Mobile, Alabama, Daytona Beach, Indianapolis, King County, places they have big crowds, or I should big crowds, large metropolitan areas they've done well in. They did really big in Kansas City because there's so many people there, and you're going to make it back on those concessions. Well, a smaller park, it's a challenge. And it'll be interesting to see how Milwaukee does. Milwaukee's park, I think, seats about 5,000. They only have, I believe, 2 suites. So I don't know what that arrangement is, but I can just tell you personally from being involved with them, the Bananas get the tickets. They sell the tickets. You get your suites and you get your concessions, but they get the ticket money and they have a big merchandise thing that comes in. They've got a big semi truck that's got, or not even semi, it's a big 2 bobtails, if I remember correctly, have mobile stands. I mean, it's an operation. They're bringing an entire operation in like a circus, what it is. I mean, we're talking what a NFL football team takes on the road. They're taking every bit of that and more. Like a college football team, every bit of that and more. They've got, 2 teams that are coming to play in most cases, not always, but the Bananas and the Party Animals or whoever, they've got all their extra characters, MC, play-by-play, their own video, their own crew. They've got merchandise, all that stuff. And they got sellers and 2 stations. I mean, they have a big operation that rolls with them. So that's a pretty impressive deal. Anyway, I got off the whole banana thing, but anyway. All right. Now it's last call for questions and comments. We got all the updates here. Can you tell we're in a good mood on a Wednesday, a Thursday off day? It is Wednesday. We had work week on, because remember Monday was Sunday because the holiday. Okay. All right. What do you guys got? I'll stay on for 1 more minute, 2 more minutes. And again, I go back to what Mongo's comment was, and I'll see if I can find it here. Right there. I'll put up the screen for you again. Tickets available right now, folks, at the Lewis and Clark box office or online, and they're available right now. They'll pack the place tomorrow night. Let's get this thing done tomorrow night. Let's get a home field advantage. Let's go. The beautiful thing about this little engine that could has got the fans that can. That should be our motto: fans that can. We're ready to rock it tomorrow night, and should be a lot of fun. Look forward to having everybody out tomorrow night. Again, it'd be hard to outlive the drama from last night. You never know. You just never know. And I suppose there can be more. I don't expect now. If lightning strikes twice, somebody misses first base. I guarantee you now, everybody's going to be making sure they touch that bag, right? One way or the other, but all righty. Love you guys. Again, we're at Hawks and Sergeant Bluff. We'll be here tomorrow in the noon hour. Join us for a little coffee, a little chat as we talk about your X's and the Fargo Boyd Red Hawks game to tomorrow from here in town, Lewis and Clark Park. Gates swing at 6 o'clock, and we'll let have you out. Again, just looking forward to it. Enjoy the rest of your day. X has got a big win last night. You should be proud. This team is an amazing bunch. I will share you one final piece of the story. I've been on some bus rides in the postseason, been pretty joyous. Been a couple sad ones, plenty of sad ones, including my first ever chance in the playoffs back in '95 when a guy named Gary Cooper, not the actor, but a former Astro playing Double-A for the Tigers, had a ball roll through his legs at third, and you got walked off of Wilmington, North Carolina against the Port City Roosters, that loss, you make that play in the 9th inning, you go to the postseason. Instead, through his legs, 2-run score, and you lose the game. And I didn't care if the Cowboys were playing on Monday Night Football, which they were. It was a bummer, man. I remember, I was a young broadcaster in tears as well. Players were in tears. I've been on that ride. I've also been on the ride where you won it all. I was on a ride last night that I would put up there with any of them because I'm just curious. Yeah, same crew. Same, as far as I know, it's the same crew. I believe it's the same crew, Casey. I'm pretty sure. I would almost guarantee it's the same crew. That will change after the series. They'll expand the crews then, I believe. Still a 3-man crew. It'll be a 4-man crew, I believe, in the championship series and I know for sure the league, the Miles Wolf Cup for sure. I think they'll go with an extra umpire in the league series, but I don't know for sure, or division series. But yeah, same crew. Anyway, last night the guys. It's fun to watch this crew over the course of a year bond and not bond. And as we've gone further, yeah, teams are going to bond because they know each other, right? You've been around each other all year. But it's fun to see the new guys, the guys who've been here a while, guys who may not speak great English, some guys who do, different walks of life, different temperaments, talents, and convictions of life all come together. It's one of the great things about this game to watch. And you can tell if it's legitimate or not. Sometimes I've been in those buses where it's not legitimate, where it's, okay, I like you right now, but dadgummit, I want to get my ass home, right? You know, this club last night pretty much was all involved. And I know what they're playing. I told my wife this morning. They're playing some game, and I can't describe the game they're playing because I don't even know what it was. But I think it was on their phones, I think. And it was sort of a mystery, who's the villain kind of game. I'm hearing this over my shoulder, right? They're just 3 or 4 rows behind me. If you turned around, they were all hovering around, and all the rest of the bus was toward my back. They're all to the back. They were all there being a part of this game. You can hear the names and hey, Wilfredo, and hey, Girk, and they were all back and forth. And it seemed like Weatherby was sort of the ringmaster of the game, I think. But again, we were up in the front, kind of mind our own business. And we started the road trip, by the way. We hadn't done this year at all. We watched team movies. We had a team movie on the way out and one on the way back. On the way out, it was Super Troopers. On the way back, it was Dodgeball. Both very wacky, random, goofy movies, but they're funny. We had that was going on first. They played this game the rest of the way. This went on for about 2.5, 3 hours last night until the very last stretch, to about 3 a.m. We got a little close to Sioux City. It kind of died down, but they were laughing, carrying on, chanting each other's name. It was, and at one time, Bruce and I looked at each other and just went like, it's just fun to watch. We're just smiling and chuckling. And Mongo would turn around and just smile, just to hear those guys have fun last night. And to see that going on, just great. I'm sure every bus does that, but to see it in person, it was a different feeling. And it's been like that for a while. And this team is all business when they got to be. And then they've done something. They took care of business and they had some fun. And I guarantee you, we get on the bus next week to go somewhere, and we got to drive overnight to get there. They'll be asleep to get the business taken care of. And afterwards, they'll be having a good time. So anyway, all right. Ready for some 1, 2, 3 go X's? I'm ready. You're ready. We're all ready. A playoff special edition here from here at Hawks and Sergeant Bluff. Dan Vaughn with you. Here we go. Let's go. Ready. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Go X's. I'll see the broadcast tonight. No, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night. Let's try it again. Take 2. 1, 2, 3. Go X's. I'll see the broadcast tomorrow and right back here at lunchtime tomorrow on Facebook Live. That worked, right? Yeah, that worked.